I want to visit with my colleagues for the same reason that Senator Durbin about 15 minutes ago spoke to my colleagues about the high price of pharmaceutical drugs and maybe at least one little thing we can do to help moderate that price, or at least inform the public accordingly in a better way than we have so far. Every American within earshot of a television has heard ads for prescription drugs. Almost every night, as I watch television, I see something along that line. These ads promise patient relief from nearly every medical problem, and informing the public is an important thing for us to do in many areas. The pharmaceutical companies want you to know that their drug is on the market to help you. And they want you to talk to your doctor about the newest drugs. As many of my colleagues know, I'm an outspoken supporter for transparency. I hope it's one of my tributes I bring to the United States Senate. From the Physician Payment Sunshine Law to whistleblower protections, I'm a strong believer that transparency keeps citizens informed, and for sure, transparency in government brings accountability from those of us in government. Senator Durbin and I have amendments to the current funding bill, which would shine transparency light on prescription drug prices. These amendments would allow patients and their doctors make informed decisions. Drug advertisers want to tell consumers all the benefits of the drugs. At the same time, drug advertisers are required to tell you about side effects. In fact, half of an ad has something about side effects. That's usually in the small print, and when somebody is babbling something very rapidly about the side effects. But they aren't as gung-ho to show how much that particular drug would cost. And I believe it's something that the public would likewise be well informed when they're considering the advertisement and the purposes of the drug. $6 billion is what pharmaceutical companies spent on direct-to-consumer advertising last year. Why would they spend that amount of money on TV commercials? Because it works. By bypassing the trusted physician and the ability of patients to decide for themselves, TV ads increase prescription drug utilization and with it, drug spending. This increases drug costs to patients and taxpayers. In one case, a single drug in Medicaid costs the taxpayers an additional $207 million just because of ads. The President's blueprint to lower drug costs includes a provision from FDA to require the inclusion of the list price in these drugs. Senator Durbin and I agree on that. And I would hope, since it's in the President's blueprint, to bring down, as one step to bring down the high cost of drugs, that it would be easy to get bipartisan support for the Grassley-Durbin amendment. This is a very simple, common sense step to get drug prices down for our consumers. Now, I have to confess to you, it's not the only answer, but it is a concrete first step. If you want to know what I'm interested in, other steps to get drug prices down, I would point out enacting the CREATE legislation introduced by Senators Leahy, Lee, Klobuchar, and this senator. Or we could enact pay for delay, introduced by Senator Klobuchar and this senator. Or Commissioner Gottlieb of FDA could come up with a plan for the importation of safe prescription drugs from Canada and other trusted countries. So, Madam President, consumers today are promised the sun, the moon, and the stars if they will simply get a prescription filled. Senator Durbin and I want to improve transparency in prescription drug advertisement so that consumers can decide for themselves. Our amendments would simply clarify that the Secretary of HHS has the authority to require drug companies to report the list price on advertisements. And I had a telephone conversation this morning with that Secretary of HHS at his instigation, and he's suggested that this would be very helpful, not only for him to accomplish the goals that he wants to, but to carry out the President's blueprint, one of several steps in that blueprint to get the price of pharmaceuticals down for the consumer. Consumers know the price of every other item they purchase before they make their decision. Just think what of a benefit it was to the consumers of this country when maybe 4 decades ago the Congress decided that we ought to have on the windows of a car what the cost of that car was, so that everybody had to play by the same rules of the game. This is a very simple free market principle. I urge all my colleagues to support this effort that will lower drug prices for all Americans. Thank you.